Nintendo Switch is a vibrant platform with tons going on, and has successfully merged handheld with console. So what's hitting this year? Hi folks, it's Falcon, and today on gameranx, the top 25 new Switch games of 2021. Starting off with number 25, it's Evil Dead the game. I think this is a nice easy one to sum up. Third person Left 4 Dead with skill trees and PvP. Obviously, it's also an Evil Dead game, so it's super over the top. Ash has a chainsaw for an arm. But yeah, generally speaking, I think that's basically what we're in for with this game, and I think that's great. It's coming to a lot of platforms, but I'm particularly happy it is landing on Switch. We don't have a date for this just yet, but it is coming sometime this year. At number 24 is Hot Wheels Unleashed, a new arcade racer that looks somewhere between Need for Speed and Mario Kart, at least to me. It comes to us from developer Milestone of MotoGP and Ride fame, so we're talking about a game that does look like it is made by people that know what they're doing. Particularly fun about Hot Wheels Unleashed is that you're going to be able to build the tracks yourself, which makes sense. That's a hallmark feature of the actual Hot Wheels toys, and the track flexibility we've seen in the trailer really implies this could be a great game. I'm excited for it. It's coming out on a ton of platforms, but Nintendo Switch particularly, on September 30th. At number 23 is Shin Megami Tensei 5. This is the series that Persona is actually a sub-series of. Shin Megami Tensei having some kind of monster training mechanics in the form of demons. This is actually their first Switch title. Developed on the Unreal 4 engine, Atlas has actually been working for a long time in this game. It was revealed as part of the reveal for the Nintendo Switch itself back in 2017. Will we see it this year? I certainly hope so. They did have a trailer in July of last year saying it was coming out this year, so fingers are crossed. At number 22 is No More Heroes 3. The hack and slash series continues after a little diversion into a top-down game a couple years ago. The last mainline release was in 2010 with No More Heroes 2. Keeping in mind sexual innuendo and comedy was very different back then. I am interested in how this one goes, just entirely on the basis of that. I always found the games funny, and it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. The story is canonical. It's 2 years after Travis Strikes Again, 9 years after No More Heroes 2, and it's going to be hitting the Nintendo Switch on August 27th. At number 21 is Eastward, which is this extremely cool-looking, top-down action RPG adventure game that reminds me lots of Zelda, Legend of the Mystical Ninja / Gomon, maybe a little bit of Chrono Trigger, and Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, the game, in terms of visual style. I mean, in terms of what this looks like, it looks gorgeous. In terms of music, you got music from the guy that did the Death Stranding, Ho Ho Come, Unfinished Swan, all great soundtracks. I mean, this is gonna be, for me, a huge game. It just absolutely looks amazing. It does not have a release date yet, but it is coming this year, and I cannot wait to play it. At number 20 is Big Rumble Boxing Creed Champions. So this is a game based on the Rocky Balboa franchise, more or less. That's pretty much everything I need to know without having actually played it for me to check it out. It is in no small part due to the type of roster you get to play as, from Clubber Lang, Ivan and Victor Drago, Apollo Creed, Adonis Creed, Rocky. But it's also got a lot of different modes, like there's this mode called One Step at a Time, One Punch at a Time, where you actually go through Rocky training montages. Honestly, for me, it looks like it could be a really good game. Could be a really bad game too, because I mean, that is a license that is, they know certain people, myself included, are basically automatically going to be in the door on this one. So I'm just going to maintain a cautious optimism about it though. It has a spring 2021 release date. Don't have an exact date yet, but looking forward. And number 19 is Diablo II Resurrected. If you remember when Diablo II originally came out, this is not a game that plays different. It is the same game, except they are now overlaying 3D models on top of the 2D sprites. You can switch between them at any time, which is really cool. The way they do that is actually fantastic. And the new graphics are really, really good. We do not have a release date for it, but rest assured, being Diablo 2 is the game it is, we will be playing it when it comes out sometime this year. At number 18 is Persona 5 Strikers, an action RPG that's more or less Dynasty Warriors Persona 5 specifically. It is an actual sequel to Persona 5. It's set a year and a half after the game, and for many intents and purposes, it is exactly like what it sounds like. It doesn't give you all of the open world wandering that you might get. I mean, for basically the main game, it's still a very confined RPG with lots of text talking, but the battling is of course different. I've seen some comparisons to Kingdom Hearts, but I would say it's also a lot closer to Dynasty Warriors than that. This game has been out for a few months, and it is as fun as it looks. I highly recommend it. I have enjoyed it quite a bit. At number 17 is Samurai Warriors 5, which is of course a part of the official Warriors series. In terms of the Samurai Warriors series, this is meant to be kind of a refresh, a reboot, a reimagining. Basically, they're starting out with an all-new storyline and a totally different visual presentation. And the Warriors series is just plain great. Dynasty Warriors 9 really sucked, but I'm willing to give it a pass. Stuff like Hyrule Warriors, the developers know what they're doing. I love it. I'll play this. It's landing on the Nintendo Switch on July 27th. At number 16 is Bayonetta 3. Now, if you've ever played the other two Bayonetta games, you know exactly why you might want Bayonetta 3. It is a platinum game, for one, and it's one that we almost didn't get a sequel to at all. It's amazing we're getting a third one, and we have Nintendo to thank for it. Bayonetta is kind of the ultra insane witchy version of Devil May Cry, and yeah, I don't know what else to say about it. I'm extremely excited that there's a third one of this game coming out, and I will be playing it 100%. Now, we do not have a release date for the game. It was announced way back in 2017, and recently we've been reminded that it has not been canceled and is coming, so odds are probably good. I'm saying let's keep an eye out in E3. I have a feeling that's about when we're going to find out when Bayonetta 3 is landing. I can't wait. At number 15 is Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. These are remakes of the 2006 RPGs Pokemon Diamond and Pearl. This is a 3D game where the original was 2D sprites. It does remain pretty faithful, I think, to the art style, but the art style was still a little controversial because obviously 3D is never going to look like 2D, especially not in a remake situation. We don't have an exact date, but they are coming late in 2021. I look forward to it. And number 14 is Metopia, a role-playing game in which you take your me and give it character classes like warriors, mages, and follow a predetermined plot, and there's some life simulation stuff thrown in as well. The battle system doesn't look insane. It's a turn-based. It does look fun until we play it. Obviously, we don't exactly know what's happening. The game is landing on May 21st. I think it's going to be worth a look. It may end up being really good. It may end up being middling. Obviously, I hope for the former rather than the latter. We'll check it out. At number 13 is Bravely Default 2, a game that takes a different approach than the previous sequel to Bravely Default. Bravely Second decided to continue Bravely Default's story. This acts more like Final Fantasy, in which we get a completely new world, completely new characters, completely new story. I was a little more satisfied with this decision because although Bravely Second is good, it felt a little bit too samey. With the old school Final Fantasies, they sort of established a framework for what a Final Fantasy would be, and then told a lot of very, very different stories with that framework. The idea that they're going to be moving to that kind of a model with Bravely Default, I like, and Bravely Default 2 is a great entry to the series. I would say better than Bravely Second. It's already out. If you want to play it, go ahead and get it. I loved it. At number 12 is LEGO Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga, which is a LEGO game that spans all 9 movies. This game was supposed to be out last year, and it's been delayed quite a bit over its development cycle. I mean, at least for a LEGO Star Wars game, which usually these things come out every single year. I mean, that's not great, but at the same time, this is such a widely spanning game, so many different movies to cover, that I'd rather see them do it right. We do not have a release date for this game, but it is coming this year still. These are always funny games, always lighter takes on sometimes fairly heavy sections of Star Wars. They always get it exactly right, too. I'm looking forward to it. At number 11 is Pokemon Snap, which at the time the original came out, way back in the Nintendo 64 days, it was kind of a questionable concept. You just go along on rails and take pictures of Pokemon, but it turned out to be a really enjoyable little thing. and it's something I feel nostalgic for, and I think that a lot of young people who like Pokemon now will also really get into. It was also the first 3D Pokemon game, which is really cool. Not really a novelty nowadays, but new Pokemon Snap is coming out on April 30th. At number 10 is Monster Hunter Stories 2 Wings of Ruin. Back in 2016, there was a kind of lighter, more RPG-ish Monster Hunter that came out. It was a pretty good game. It hit on the 3DS. This is the Switch follow-up to it. It retains the more cutesy look that Monster Hunter, the big Monster Hunter series, doesn't have, which is good. That's the charm of Monster Hunter Stories, and it was a game that, just to be completely clear, was really enjoyable, if not extremely different from Monster Hunter. Monster Hunter Stories 2 Wings of Ruin lands on July 9th. At number 9 is Hitman 3. Now, just to be completely clear, this is a cloud version. However, it is a cloud version that handles itself really well. You will, for the most part, not notice it as a cloud version. It's not exactly the fastest paced game of all time. It's well suited to a streaming game, to be completely clear. And speaking of completely clear, this version is great. Assuming you've got good internet, it's just like playing Hitman 3 on basically any other console if your screen isn't in 4K. This one came out back in January, and honestly, considering it's 50 megabytes of your Switch's space, if you got good internet, this is a great game to have. At number 8 is Knockout City, a team-based multiplayer dodgeball game, which has really colorful graphics, a bunch of different modes, and looks to be lending itself to some incredibly good multiplayer fun. Honestly, I can't give you impressions on exactly what's going on here, because I haven't played it, but I'm very interested knowing that there is an actual Nintendo Switch dodgeball type game coming out, and I am definitely very interested in seeing how it is when it comes out on May 21st. At number 7 is Subnautica Below Zero, the sequel to Subnautica, which came out back in 2018. If you're unfamiliar, Subnautica is a survival game set on the ocean. The difference between Below Zero and its predecessor are that there are going to be land masses to explore, which is absolutely an interesting prospect. I think there's a lot to look forward to here. All the survival stuff is still in play. Apparently, there is very harsh cold weather in this one, as evidenced by the title, and it's going to land on Nintendo Switch on May 14th. At number 6 is Mario Golf Super Rush, the 6th Mario Golf game. The last one came out on the 3DS back in 2014. This will probably feel like a fairly different game on account the Switch is a lot more powerful, but I'd also expect at a lot of the specific ideas that we saw in the previous game probably be present here as well. Just smoother, better looking. I mean, in all seriousness, it's golf plus a bunch of silly little Mario conventions like warp pipes and all that. I enjoy Mario Golf. I'm looking forward to trying out the Nintendo Switch version. That lands June 25th. At number 5 is Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury. Super Mario 3D World being a game that was a great deal of fun back when it came out on the Wii U. However, it came out on the Wii U. This was a re-release, came out back in February, comes along with Bowser's Fury, which is a kind of somewhere between Super Mario 3D World and Super Mario Odyssey type game. I hesitate to call it open world as liberally as so many other outlets have, because it's honestly a lot like the original Super Mario 64 plus 3D World plus the very big scary Bowser. This was definitely a package I thought was worth it. I enjoyed this. If you haven't played it and you love Mario games, it's a must play. At number 4 is Little Nightmares 2, game that continues the story of the first Little Nightmares, which is an adventure game / puzzle platformer. 6 from the original game is now an AI character, and you play as Mono as you explore the city. It is a prequel to the first game, and it has elements of it which are gonna bum you out, but it is a really thrilling, interesting ride through a very well realized world. It's been out since February. It is worth your time. At number 3 is Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword HD. Honestly, this is such a thrill. Skyward Sword is a great game, but it is really limited by its platform. Seeing it in HD is really a thrill, and not in an emulator, but on an official platform. I don't know that there's a lot to say about this one. It's Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword. You've probably played it before. It really deserved to see the nicer frame rate and resolution of the Wii, in my opinion. Skyward Sword's a fantastic game. It's an interesting game, a different game, and I cannot wait to play it again. That is set to land on the Switch July 16th. At number 2 is Monster Hunter Rise, a game that came out at the end of last month. It's not a game I have beaten yet, so don't take my opinion as a final one, but I have enjoyed the game quite a bit. It was developed on sort of a side project during the Monster Hunter World project. This game used the Resident Evil engine as opposed to the MT engine, and as its name implies, adds a level of verticality. And without giving too much away, the grappling abilities are a lot of fun, and overall I've enjoyed it this year so far. I do plan on beating it eventually. If you like Monster Hunter, you will enjoy this. I thought it added a lot of interesting things to the conventions that were established with World. It's already out. And finally, at number 1 is Breath of the Wild 2. Now this, to me, is really interesting. In a lot of ways, the first Breath of the Wild, while expansive, amazing, and gives you so much, it's very minimalist in what it actually puts forward as definitive. The Divine Beasts aren't the most complicated Zelda dungeons we've ever seen, are sometimes a little unsatisfying, and just the endless barrage of shrines, while interesting and fun, made Zelda more about mechanics than a lot of the traditional series features. I think Breath of the Wild 2 might bring us back to a lot of that stuff, but with all of the advances we saw in the first Breath of the Wild. We don't know exactly when it's landing, but it is landing sometime this year. I would guess later in the year, especially if they release some kind of Switch upgrade. There is rumors of that. We'll probably hear more at E3. Some bonus games for you. These are all games that came out last year, but we're just seeing them on Switch this year. First off is Destroy All Humans, which is a remake of the first of these games, probably one of the funnier, sillier, but incredibly fun games out there. Ridiculous, alien, anal probe type stuff. Next is Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2. Fantastic port of the original games. Maneater, the shark simulator, like Tony Hawk's Pro Sharking, I guess. It's not really that. There's more to it. And finally, Crash Bandicoot 4, It's About Time, which is an absolutely wonderful addition to the Crash Bandicoot franchise. What are you going to play this year? Leave us a comment. Let us know what you think. If you like this video, click like. If you're not subscribed, now's a great time to do so. We upload brand new videos every day of the week. Best way to see them first is, of course, a subscription. Click subscribe. Don't forget to enable all notifications. As always, thank you very much for watching this video. I'm Falcon. You can follow me on Twitter at FalconHero. We'll see you next time right here on gameranx.